Hey there, beautiful, and welcome to this week's video. This is Kendra of KendraKWoods.com, and today I want to talk about something that I know many of us women feel challenged with at some point in our lives, and I know I have for sure. So today I want to talk to you about how to shift from being a people pleaser to a self pleaser, right? This is such an important topic to talk about because I know that I have had many moments in my life where I was heavily a people pleaser. That was just very important to me. And I've learned since then how to shift out of that and how to shift out of it even in a moment's notice when I find myself doing it. And so I want to share just a couple of, really practical tips and strategies to help you move out of this space. All right. But before I do that, I find that it's really important first for you to gain an understanding of where this comes from, right? If you find yourself challenged with this, you may be wondering, like, why am I this way? Why can I not just, do what I want to do? Why do I always feel like I have to make someone else happy first? Before I put myself out there? Or maybe you find yourself in a vicious cycle where you need to be taking better care of yourself. You know that you need to be, really standing firm in your self-care, but you will give it all away to other people first before you give it to yourself. Or maybe you find yourself, really procrastinating on having important conversations or those difficult conversations because you're worried about, the person being upset or worried about, confrontation. So let's talk about this. So first of all, becoming or being a person who's a people pleaser, it started in childhood. You learned it in your childhood. Now, I'll speak to my experience, and I know that there are many of you women out there that will resonate with this experience. My experience of being a people pleaser, I learned, of course, in childhood, like all of us do. And my thing is, I wanted to always make sure that I made my mother happy, right? Growing up, there was a lot of emotional stress and just like ups and downs in my household. Me and my mother, did not get along at all. There was some times when, my mother just was not emotionally available to me. And, I've worked through all that good stuff, but I now know back then that I was always trying to get her approval and getting her to be happy because I needed her to see that I was okay, right? Because as a child, you think if your parents are unhappy with you, or you feel like if they're not giving you the attention that you need, then you're going to do what you feel like you need to do in order to get them to see you, in order to get them to, give you that acknowledgement that you're doing great and that you're fine and that you're perfect, and you want them to be happy. And so when you don't get that, you begin to overcompensate as a way to protect yourself, and you can step into this space of being a perfectionist, right? Of wanting to make sure that you do everything right, because if you don't do it right, then somebody's going to be upset, and that means that you're a bad little girl. And we carry this into adulthood. And, you learned as a young girl to equate other people's lack of satisfaction in you with how worthy you are. Okay. And as children, we don't know any better. We think that if our mother's upset with this, or if our father's upset with this, or they're, if they aren't there for us emotionally like we need them to be, then we start thinking in our little girl minds that when they're unhappy with us, and that means that I'm not worthy, right? Only if my parents are happy with me, or only if my, siblings or aunts and uncles are happy with me, am I worthy? And that's a story that you learned as a child, and you again carried that belief through your adulthood. And so that is where you find yourself repeating that same pattern over and over again in your relationships, whether it be a work relationship or a romantic relationship or a friendship, in whatever relationship you have, you'll find yourself repeating that pattern because you learned that your worth or that your value is tied to people being happy with you. Right? And I know that doesn't I know logically and intellectually, you're probably saying, but that doesn't make any sense. Why would I do that? It's how our mind works, right? That's when we're at that young age from 0 to 7, that is when your beliefs are formed. That is when you are conditioned into the person that you will be when you get older. And so your patterns of behavior get really ingrained in you at a young age. So, but now, as an adult, as a full grown woman, you get to take this power back, right? You get to really to do the work so that you can begin to focus on, doing things that make you happy and really standing in your truth and using your voice to stand in your truth so that you can live a more fulfilling life instead of living a life where you're constantly shape-shifting, trying to make sure that you're pleasing other people. That causes a lot of ups and downs in your life, because if you're constantly trying to please people, then it's like you're doing this shape-shifting act of trying to be this for this person and trying to be this for this person and trying to be this for this person. And it can be so easy. You so easily lose yourself in that. You lose who you are. You lose your truth. And so I want to help you remember. Who you are. So I'm going to share 2 things with you that can really help you with this if you find yourself, being a people pleaser. So the first thing that you got to do is you got to change the narrative. Change the narrative, change the story, change the meaning that you have given to somebody being dissatisfied with you. So if your story is, let's say someone gets upset with you about you voicing your truth about something, or maybe somebody gets upset with you because you declined to do what they wanted you to do, right? And that person gets upset with you. Your story could be, oh my gosh, this person is so mad at me, I've made a mistake, right? Or I'm not a good person because, I told him or her no. Or the story may be that, oh my gosh, they're never going to talk to me again, right? Because they're upset with me. Or whatever story you make up, change the narrative. Because the truth of the matter is, when somebody is upset with you about you not doing something that they want you to do, it's not about you, right? It's not about you. It's about them, creating their own stories about what it means because you didn't do it, right? So they're walking through and moving through their own programming and their own stories as well. And you've got your own stories going on. And so it just creates this conflict, right? So change the meaning. So if somebody's upset with you, shift to understanding that, this person's dissatisfaction with me not doing what they wanted me to do has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with me. And one of the things that I have learned a long time ago that I really deeply believe is that, I am not responsible for how somebody else responds to me being me. Right? I'm not responsible for somebody else's emotions. And I get to remind myself of this often. I'm human just like everybody else. But let that be a reminder for you that you cannot be responsible for how somebody responds to you being authentic to yourself. Okay? That is a heavy burden to carry when you think that you have got to be responsible for making somebody happy or for making somebody feel better. That's not your place, right? As adults, we get to be responsible for our own emotions and how we respond, okay? So change the narrative, change the meaning. The next step is you got to learn how to validate yourself. Got to learn how to validate yourself, because as a people pleaser, you're looking for that validation from them. You're looking for your mom or your dad or your husband or your friend to give that validation, to say, oh, this is perfect, you did it so good, or thank you so much, you're an amazing person. That's what you're looking for, because as a little girl, that's what you were looking for, was that acceptance and that validation. But as a full-grown woman, as an adult now, you get to give that to yourself. And so I want you to begin practicing validating yourself. So anytime you have an idea, anytime you have, something you want to do, anytime you decide that you want to decline an offer, validate yourself and say, you know what, I'm making the right decision for me. The decision that I've made for me is perfect. And that's an affirmation that you can actually repeat to yourself over and over again. And it's actually an affirmation that I have written multiple, probably hundreds of times in my journal. And that affirmation is, I always make the right decision for me. I always make the right decision for me. Right? Because see, you're on your own life path. So if somebody wants you to make a particular decision because they have their own, they have their own intentions, that's not fair to you. You can't make a decision on your life because somebody else wants you to make that decision because it, would help them further, their agenda or whatever. You've got to step back and say, okay, wait, I've got to make this decision for me, and validate yourself to say, I always make the right choices for me. I always make the right decision for me, because that is the truth. That is the truth. Okay, so those are two ways that you can really help yourself step out of this people-pleasing mode and step into being more of a self-pleaser. It's not selfish to, make sure that you are honoring your truth. That is actually a very loving thing that you can do for yourself. And people will respect that, right? And this is also your way of creating a boundary and showing people a full example of how you desire to be treated. Okay, so number one, change the narrative, meaning, of the story that you give to somebody being dissatisfied with you. And then number two, practice validating yourself. The only validation you need is from yourself. That's all that matters. All right, so let me know what you think. Leave me a comment, leave me a question. Let me know how this resonated with you. And then also let me know how you're going to action this in your life. I can't wait to see what you share. So thank you so much for watching. And of course, if you are ready to be fully and deeply supported in becoming unstuck and unstoppable in this area or any other area where you feel like you're not living your full potential, reach out to me. Click the link below and book a complimentary 30-minute mindset consultation, and I will help you get really clear on your goals, get really clear on what it is that is stopping you from getting from where you are to where you want to be. This call can really change the direction of your life and give you some amazing clarity. So click on the link either down below in the comments of this video or somewhere here in this video post and book your free call with me today. And of course, like, share, all the good things about this video. If it's really spoke to you, share this video. Subscribe to my YouTube channel here, because I post a video every single week to help you in becoming unstuck and unstoppable. All right. And then last but not least, I would love to have you in my community. If you are a woman who refuses to, settle in this life, if you are a woman who is ready to live life on your terms, I invite you to join my community on Facebook. It's called Unstuck and Unstoppable Lady Boss. And this is a community I created as a safe space for women to be seen and heard, for women to show up fully in the authenticity of who they are, and a place for you to get the support and guidance that you need to redefine and redesign your life. So I would love to have you, and you'll find that link below in the comments or somewhere here in this video post, okay? So until next time, my love, remember, you can become unstuck and unstoppable. I'll see you next week. Bye.